Hi guys, it's Chris again. I am going to show you how I like to set up my mod pack. A lot of guys in my clan ask me about it. I thought I'd do a video on it to make it that much easier. So, I use Aslain's mod pack. It is legal. It is on the World of Tanks webpage for legal mods. Very simple site to get to, aslain.com, and it does have a World of Warships and a World of Tanks link on it. And it always has the date, so you always know when they're doing new updates. So there's a new update today. Click on the mod pack, scroll down, and you'll see some links on where you can download it directly. Download it to your downloads file, download it to your desktop, wherever you guys prefer. I usually click on download link number 3, no particular reason other than it's there. It should just take a couple of seconds to download, and I go ahead and I put it on my desktop. There it is. Going to double click on it. My antivirus software says, hey, you sure you want to do this? I'm going to say run anyway. I've never had any problems with viruses with any of the Aslain's mod packs. I don't think you guys will either. I install it in English, but you can see there's lots of languages. And you're going to get an awful lot of options here. So bear with me. It is going to take a little bit of time to install it. You're also going to have to go to the XVM website after it's finished installing and activate XVM, but I will walk you through all of that. It's my firewall, so I'm going to make sure that it's allowed through the firewall. And please click the show preview window. The reason for that is going to be a lot of options here, and you're not going to know what all of them are off the top of your head. So it is going to show you in that preview window what that mod does. Some T's and C's, terms and conditions and stuff. Click right past that. Now it will show you here what's happening in this latest update. And you can scroll through this and see what previous updates and dates, what they did. How often do I look at that? Almost never. I download things into my World of Tanks folder because that's where my SSD drive is, so it's the fastest one. Now, this is the fun part. This down menu here will give you options on setting up Aslain's the way Aslain runs it, with lots of options. And you can actually reset it if you've gone through it and just want to start from scratch. Now, I always do a custom installation, and I try to use the least amount of XVM um, overhead as possible. So I'm going to scroll through this slowly. The XVM section is going to automatically be checked off from the start. I try not to use anything in this entire XVM section. The panels and windows in battle, I try to use none of it. I don't want any extra overhead. And if ever they take out mods completely out of the game, I want to be able to go back to playing the game um, as vanilla as possible. Now, listen, by no means do I play the game vanilla. I like the things that come in XVM. And as we go through this, I'll explain to you why I like some of the choices and why I don't like others. But this entire section on XVM, I try to keep blank. Now, when it gets to the XVM minimap, I like to let the game do all the lines for view range, render range. If your binocs go up, I like to use the game settings. It's the least amount of overhead. However, when you get to the minimap, there are labels for the minimap that I really like to show player names. Now, you can see in the preview here, there's the player names that show up there. Now, I don't need to know the player names of the enemies. I do need to know our team's player names. The reason for that, mostly clan wars. I can see who's off in the weeds and I can call them out using TeamSpeak. I do like to put player names by color rating so that when they show up on the mini map, I can tell sort of what basic rating that player is. So when you're glancing at the mini map and you're seeing, I'm about to jump a player, if he's if he's a Unicom, I might approach him a little more carefully than I would say some of the happy little strawberries that are out there. I also want to show the vehicle names. I like to see them in full. And I like to see the tank names by color rating. And that, again, is for information. Uh, if you're in a charge with two other tanks and those two other tanks look like they're competent players, I'll trust them. If they're happy little strawberries, I might attack just a little bit more cautiously. I leave the next section entirely blank. I don't really bother with minimap zooms or anything like that. I like to have it in just the standard position. I use the in-game hit log. I don't use any of this. I don't bother with efficiency counters or color schemes, anything like that. Um, I'll leave all of this blank. Now, this 6 cent settings, leave this section blank because it's going to come up again later, and I'll go through it later. But I leave this section entirely blank. The hanger settings, I will go ahead and show mastery marks on the tech tree. It'll show them to me right there. I'll show the account statistics next to the tank. I do find that helpful. I'll leave everything else here blank. I do like to see the time, so I will click this off. It'll show me the time in the hanger. I'll use the in-game settings for the carousel. Now, I used to check off some of these things. It would show you marks of excellence, how far you needed to go, your average damage, all in the carousel windows. I found that every once in a while that overhead slowed the game down a lot. So I tend to leave that all blank now. Other XVM settings, I will enable auto login. I will show the in-battle clock. I find that useful. I will show the team win 8 chance. Now, a lot of guys don't want to know the win 8 chance. One, it's not particularly accurate, especially with players being able to anonymize themselves. However, it does give you a general indication of, can I be aggressive or should I really be passive and guard all of my hit points to the very end of the game? If you go into a battle and it says you have a 28% chance to win, that doesn't mean you're automatically going to lose that battle. However, it could be a good indicator of how cautious you should be about throwing away your hit points. I put it in this section of the game. It's just easy for me to see. But these other positions, you go ahead and click on them and you'll see in this preview window exactly where they'll show up. I don't bother with frames per second or ping. It's not a piece of information that I need because the game shows it right there. Occasionally, I used to enjoy the aim time when I played a lot of artillery, but that was mostly during the campaign missions. Generally, I leave it blank though, this entire section. I do like to know the hit pool of each side. So if our team has less kills, but we have more of a team pool, I know that we still stand a pretty good chance, as long as we don't throw away our hit points, of winning the battle. So that's why I enjoy having that in there. I do like showing my repair times on the timer panel. So I check that off. And this is interesting. Show me the tank speed above my repair panel. I enjoy knowing that. As you play the game more and more and more, you're going to remember which tanks are faster than others. Knowing what your forward speed and your backup speed are might save you in times of distress. I know that a Progetto 65 is pretty fast. And if I'm driving my Object 140, I don't always remember what the speed is of my Object 140 because it's not the fastest. But if I'm trying to run away from a Progetto 65, might be a useful piece of information. I do like to colorize in battle chat. It tells me generally what the player rating is that are making the comments. I might discount what some of the strawberries are saying. Unfortunately, the anonymized players will show up as strawberries or just in white, but I do prioritize information from better players than lesser players. I don't bother with any of the gun reload sounds. The game sounds are enough for me. What else we got here? The Modpack non-XVM mods. I think I've got that all blank. Yeah, I leave it all blank. Zooming in and out. I don't find that I need to zoom in any more than the game allows. However, I do like to zoom away farther. It allows you to look around corners. Now, some people think that that's an unfair advantage. However, Aslain's Modpack is available to everyone. If you find the information useful, it is not an illegal mod. Use it however you would like to. I don't bother with scroll sensitivity. I do not like my gun shaking after I shoot every single time, so I disable that. I also disable the red flash when an enemy hits your tank. Every once in a while, when you're in the thick of things getting shot by 6 tanks, I don't need to be blinded by the light, so I take that away. This scope shadow remover, my eyesight's failing. I like to have a clearer scope. It's the only reason for it. I do show the extra zoom indicator on my sniper. I just find it easier to see. I do like enabling the free camera in replays. I'm sure in one of my videos you're going to see me activate the free camera so you can look from different angles. This is where you want to do it. I like to enable horizontal stabilization in sniper mode. It stops your reticle from bouncing up and down too much. Um, I do enable the armor penetration indicator. It's not always super accurate. You know, you're better off going off of experience whether or not you're going to pen the back end of a heavy tank. Chances are you're going to. I don't always rely on this. It is interesting to have. My server crosshair. This is entirely user preference. I like to use a color of my server crosshair to be not like any other color that's in the game. To be brutally honest, sometimes I lose the reticle when I'm firing through trees. So if there's lots of forest, green, orange, yellow, red, I tend to lose the server crosshair. So I pick it to be blue. Hopefully I can see it a little better and it helps me in the game. These crosshair mods, entirely personal preference. I have used primarily the standard plus, standard and white, sorry. It shows me straight up and down. And when you get a hit indicator, you can line up on where you last got hit and throw blind shots back at people that are shooting you. I did try this Roughnecks one lately and I've been enjoying it. It gives me a little more information on the screen. I can graphically see how much I am reloaded. It also tells me my reload time and which shells I've loaded. It also shows me a little information at things that I'm aiming at. I am finding it to be useful, but guys, click through all of these. See what appeals to you. There's lots of cool aiming reticles. Some people like playing vanilla. It's entirely up to you. These are the ones that I use. My aim circle, I enjoy Oreshkin. I enjoy the color of this. I find this color not to get washed out by any other graphics in the game, so I don't lose my reticle in the thick of things. I don't change the SPG crosshair. I don't bother with custom damage indicators, or do I? Yeah, I don't bother with them. I just use the in-game ones. Danger lights, proximity warnings, I don't bother with that. Some people do like using this spotting extended. I just, I don't find it particularly useful. I do find particularly useful damage stickers. When you get hit by the enemy, you can see if you hold down your left mouse button and look at your tank in zoom out mode, you can see where they're penning you and you can angle yourself accordingly. This crew skill informer on backspace, you can hold down the backspace button in battle and you can see what crew skills you have. Now I have several hundred tanks. I don't always remember how good the crew is in every single tank. So because I've played a lot of games, generally I have brothers in arms and sixth sense on every commander. I don't always remember what else is on everyone. So it is helpful to know if you have the commander's perk, Eagle Eye, because you can tell if you've ammo racked someone. Is it a luxury? Absolutely, but it is nice to know. So in the heat of battle, you can find out, hey, have I got a full camo crew? Have I got jack of all trades? Have I got armor if my gun gets broken? I do find it interesting and useful. Aim helping mods, I do use the enhanced auto lock. It is legal. Uh, it allows you to auto lock on a target for 1.5 seconds. So if you don't get your reticle dot directly on the enemy, you're still going to be okay. It'll auto lock. I do like using safe shot, blocking, shooting at wrecks and allies. Some guys don't. They figure, hey, I want to skip shots off people anyway, because now there's no team damage. However, in Clan Wars, there is team damage, so I try to block shooting at wrecks and allies for 2 seconds. Sometimes it'll also save you a reload time. If you're about to shoot a tank that's low health and someone else kills him, this safe shot will stop you from shooting that wreck and having to reload. Sometimes that might save your life if you're on low health too, not having to reload that fluffed shot. I leave the rest of this all blank. Damage logs, I like using the ones that are in the game. I find them to be good enough. They tell you whether or not someone's shooting gold or HE at you, so that's enough. None of the XPM logs I use, I don't need extra marks of excellence. I mean, marks of excellence are nice, and it's nice to see teammates with marks of excellence on their tank because you know that they're proficient at it. I don't need anything extra. Team HP hit pool. If you follow my setup, you'll be able to still press the Alt key during battle and see what people have for remaining HP so long as they've been spotted by teammates. So I don't need any extra visibility on ammo. I do like this, requesting fire marker. Mine is purple. So when you request fire on someone, I'll actually get an arrow that shows it in purple, and I find it very easy to see. Some people like using an aim circle. I like using the arrows. I do like highlighting my consumables panel. It shows up in purple, this consumables panel here. I do like highlighting them. It's just easier on my eyes. Extras on the player panel, I like to see friends in the roll call. So it shows a little Kermit the Frog icon there. Spotting markers, I find this extremely useful. What'll end up happening is you'll get an indicator if people are lit now, whether or not they've been lit in the past, or if they've never been lit. I don't always remember who's been lit and who hasn't, so I use that. This hidden parameters, if you hold your mouse button over top of the shell, it'll give you shell speed. I find that very useful, especially when you have to lead a target that's from a distance. You'll hear guys saying all the time, okay, I'm going to switch to premium rounds because the shell speed's faster. It makes sense. Sometimes because of the shell penetration drop off, uh, and that's indicated here as well. They'll switch to gold rounds. I tend not to fire a ton of gold rounds, but the information is there for you. And it's super helpful for the HE rounds because HE rounds are generally slower. I do want to know when my final shot is up. Now, final shot will actually give me a beep in my headset when I am down to the last shot of that particular type of ammo. So if I'm driving my Progetto at tier 8, Progetto 46, and I'm about to run out of regular rounds, don't forget the last shell. If you fire all 3 out of that Progetto, the last shell takes the longest to load. So it's a little bit of extra information. If I'm about to run out of these shells and it's going to go to APCR, it's going to load that first shell of APCR the longest. So it's a good piece of information to have. The real-time in-battle achievements, I just find it interesting. If I'm on my way to getting a Top Gun or a high caliber or patrol duty, this is especially helpful. Now I realize that's in Russian, but this is especially helpful when you're trying to do campaign missions. Some of the campaign missions are, hey, get a Top Gun 4 battles out of 9. You know, get a high caliber. All of those things will come up during battle, and you know you're close. Sixth Sense mods. This is where I like using the Sixth Sense mods, and it's non-XVM. So I like having my Sixth Sense icon show up for 10 seconds. If it goes off for 10 seconds and you've pulled back and tried to hide yourself again, there's a good chance that after those 10 seconds, you are in fact dark to the enemy team. It's not 100% of the time, because if someone else is really sneaky in a bush and they keep spotting you, you're still going to be spotted. That's all there is to it. But generally, when you pull back behind a ridge, go dark, behind a building, that sort of thing, your Sixth Sense timer has been reset, and if you get spotted again, it'll stay on the screen again for 10 seconds. Now, which Sixth Sense icon to use? Entirely personal preference. I happen to use Megamind. I find it easier on the eyes. I find it's big enough that I never miss it on my screen. It is somewhat transparent, so even if I'm shooting through people and this This icon comes up. It doesn't stop me from shooting at them. Uh, and it's not like any other color in the game. So I never miss it. But again, personal preference. You guys go ahead and pick whichever one that you want. Um, I do like to remove extra fog. I find that extremely helpful. Again, it's what you can and can't see. I never have an frame rate limiter. What else do I tweak here? I disable shot, smoke, and flames. Sometimes you can't shoot through them, so I try to disable that, but it's the only one. My rig is fast enough that high def details are not a distraction. They don't really slow down the game, so I'm doing okay there. I don't have a lot of garage mods. In fact, it looks like I've got none. Again, that's just trying to limit the amount of overhead. I used to have the violet frame tank highlighter, but I had friends tell me that their in-game garage experience was slowing down with any garage mods, so I've turned them off. I do like this crew experience extended. It tells me exactly how much XP I need to get crews to their next perk. I find that extremely useful. Um, I don't check off the vehicle experience one, and that's only because I have every tier 10 in the game. If you are grinding through a tech tree, by all means check that off because it will tell you how much XP you need to get to the next either module or next tank. It is advantageous. I like to unanonymize the battle results so I can actually see who that player is after the battle. I don't need any of the personal missions helper or anything else. I do like the inventory count indicator because it shows me how many that I've got at the start of a battle. So if I need to stock up on food or med kits or any of the directives, it tells me I'm running out. I do like the battle hits viewer. I like to be able to go into the garage afterwards and do a diagnosis of where I got hit. It'll also show you where you bounce shots or hit on other tanks. So I find that helpful. Check off the replay manager if you like watching your replays. I always extend my friends in blacklist. Um, I've got a lot of games under my belt. I try to blacklist people that are not helpful, not playing by the rules, that sort of thing. I like using the garbage seller. Helps you get rid of modules that you're never going to use again. Be careful though. You don't want to be selling shells that you might be using again. So just be careful with it. Um, I don't use any of this hangar inspector. I do like this crew auto return, the one by Old School. It seems to work the best. So if you're switching crews from premium tanks back to their tech tree tanks, I find that this one works the best. Let's see what's next. Session stats. I like Yas and Krasen. It's personal preference though, but it will give you, your win 8 for that particular game. It is sort of an artificial number because if you drive a lot of light tanks, you don't get win 8 for spotting, even though that's super helpful to your team. It does get you XP. It doesn't help for your win 8 total. So, as far as I'm concerned, win 8 is a little on the artificial side, especially if you're playing a lot of light tanks. Win 8 is mostly about doing damage. Graphical in-battle messages. I do like finding out if I won or lost the previous battle or I got a draw. It's a personal thing. Some people don't care. I've moved on from that battle. I just like to know. Reset my stats daily at 6 a.m. So I don't have to. I don't use any sound mods. I've had nothing but bad experiences in the past. I just use the in-game settings, period. Just find that easiest. We're getting close to the end, guys. I don't use any in-battle music at all. I find it distracting. I don't use any hit zone skins at all. Find that distracting as well. It also messes with your frame rate sometimes. Scrolling on down. I do like putting skins on destroyed vehicles. White, gray, beige, personal preference. Um, I find it just easier to see the dead tanks, and I shoot them less. I do like giving some extra color to trains. I can't drive through that. I can't shoot through that. I like to be able to see it. This painted roller is entirely cosmetic. I just think it looks cool. It doesn't seem to cost me any overhead at all. Minimap, I do like more visible coordinates on the minimap. Personal preference, you guys have a look. Requesting fire markers on the minimap, generally I like using the purple one as well. And I like using an arrow because it shows up on the minimap where people are requesting fire. Some people like wider borders. I just use the in-game one. It seems fine for me. What else we got? Server preference. It automatically only logs me to North America, so um, I don't use any of these config tuners. I do like to check for the mod version pack. I don't like the button in the hanger or the loading wheel. That's just personal preference. And you can see how much disk space this is going to require. Go ahead and hit enter. Delete all previous mods. It's probably advised. I don't know what the Python log is, but the XVM logs, go ahead and delete those. You can delete game cache too if you want. Create an icon on your desktop so that you can automatically go back to Aslain's Modpack so it fires up again. It's ready to install, and there you go. Now sometimes your antivirus software will block things through the firewall if you haven't set this up before. I'm going to let you guys figure out how to get through your own firewall. But the install on my computer is fairly fast, and we will have to go to the XVM website after this to make sure that it's enabled. So you're going to have to know your World of Tanks user ID and login. I can't help you guys with that. But activate XVM services has to be done. I don't usually check the button, but it will automatically go to the page if you check it off. Click finish, and then I go to the XVM website. I've got it bookmarked. Now I'm already logged in. There I am. Update statistics and activate again. And there you go. You're playing World of Tanks the way I do with some mods that I find enhance my gaming experience. I hope that helps you guys out. I'll catch you on the next one.